Hello you guys, and welcome back to another episode of I Watched It So You Don't Have To. This time around, we are finally talking about John Wick Chapter 4. And I have to say, you guys, I hope your day, your week, your month, your entire year is as good, no, as amazing as this movie. Following the events of Chapter 3, Chapter 4 shows John taking his fight against the High Table Global. As the price on his head continues to increase, he seeks out the most powerful people in this underworld to accomplish his mission. This story takes us from the very familiar New York to Paris to Japan and Berlin. Where do I start with this movie, you guys? The action, the acting, the cinematography, the single shot scene that made my soul leave my body. The consistent strength of the world building in this franchise, the new characters, the wardrobe, the action, set pieces, everything about this movie was so amazing. We've got to talk about all of it. The action and fight choreography in Chapter 4 is stellar, and you guys, it has been throughout the entire franchise. But with each installment, they managed to make the action feel fresh, engaging, and dazzling. Somehow, between 14 action sequences, now, this is saying something because I love action, and I think the amount of work that goes into the stunts and the fight choreography is phenomenal. By the time I felt like I was starting to get fatigued with the length of the action sequence because they are long, so by the time I was starting to get tired of it, they completely switched it up, did something different, and I was like re-engaged immediately. For instance, there was a scene, and I'm not going to get too into it because I don't want to give any spoilers, all the details and anything that was going on. And talking about this scene is going to get us into the cinematography. Now in this scene, John is fighting his way through a building, right? Standard. But this time around, he gets his hands on a shotgun, I believe it was a shotgun, with dragon's breath rounds. And this is basically an incendiary type ammunition that when fired, it can shoot sparks and flames. You guys, the point is, people were on fire. It's spectacular, you guys. And just when you're getting used to that, they deliver one of my probably top 5 favorite shots of all time. Now, initially, when I walked out of the theater and I was talking about the movie with my honey as we were leaving, I called it a dollhouse shot because I was taking into account the view of all the rooms, but it's just an overhead camera angle, which really is my favorite angle that they use in film. And on top of that, as if that was not enough, it's a single take shot. It was so cool, you guys. I will admit that I did get into single takes recently within the last 10 years, and I'm always interested trying to catch single takes where I can in film. I really like it, and to see how it's used in this movie coupled with the overhead angle, I told you guys, my soul left my body. The cinematography is immaculate overall. The angles, the wide shots, honestly, a lot of the moments in the film, if you were to screenshot them, just art. It just looks so good. On top of that, the lighting is stunning. I really like the darks, the shadows, and the rich, saturated colors. Speaking of all those incredible elements that just elevate the storytelling, let's talk about the world building. Just speaking on Chapter 4 specifically, and not how amazing the world building has been in this entire franchise, because we could talk about that, but we'll be here for a minute. We really got so much more information, and this movie is dripping with detail, especially when you pair it with the dialogue. All of this, and really the whole chapter, just gives us a better look at the rich lore that really runs deep in this franchise. Now, we have got to talk about wardrobe. Wardrobe is going to lead us into talking about new characters, but wardrobe first. And when I say that I want to talk about wardrobe, I just want to talk about Bill Skarsgård as the Marquis de Gramont. Everyone in this franchise is always dressed to the nines, but this man is so extra in the best way. The variations in his wardrobe are amazing. I'm talking the colors, the textures, the layers, all of it. Eye-catching. Interestingly enough, despite how confidently fashionable he was, the Marquis de Gramont is not one of my favorites out of the new characters, though Bill Skarsgård did absolutely nail the role, but honestly, he kills it every single time. When it comes to the new characters, I do have a couple favorites. First one we're going to talk about is going to be Mr. Nobody. Shamir Anderson as a tracker assassin with a dog. And you guys, I cannot express to you how much I love the addition of dogs in this franchise and how these characters are set up with the dogs. And the story really takes moments to showcase their bonds. I really love what he brought to the movie and the tone of the relationship Mr. Nobody and John have right off the bat. We have got to talk about Donnie Yen as Kane. Amazing, perfection. I could talk about this character all day. He was awesome. Kane is a blind, retired, high-table assassin that gets pulled back in by the Marquis de Garmont. Now, it is no surprise that given Donnie Yen's background in martial arts that he has such a fantastic presence during the action sequences. Not only the speed of the action, which is fantastic, but also the storytelling there too. We kind of dipped our toe into the acting a little bit while talking about my favorite new characters, but we've got to dive in and take a look at some of the other cast members. I've got to talk about the criminally underused Hiroyuki Sanada first. He fantastically plays the manager of the Osaka Continental, Koji Shimizu. Again, another actor with a spectacular on-screen presence and one that really packs in a ton of history with the amount of screen time he had. I really love to see the character with John as well as his connection to Rina Sawayama's Akira. Ian McShane! I really love his acting, you guys. As Winston, he really brings a sense of stability to the film while also making you squint and wonder what is he up to. I love the moments where his true colors and intentions show and he gives more nuance to the character. I do want to touch on the late Lance Reddick as Charon. He didn't have much screen time in this movie, but this is another one of those characters that you get layered details from through Riddick's stellar performance. He absolutely made a splash with the time he had in Chapter 4, and he really brought so much to the character and that relationship with Winston that left me wanting a prequel. Lawrence Fishburne as the King. Actually, amazing. I rewatched all the John Wick movies before seeing Chapter 4, and he's such a standout. He absolutely fills the screen with his personality, such a larger-than-life character, and like the rest of the cast, you really can tell that he's putting everything into the role. Speaking of putting everything into this movie, we have got to talk about the one, the man, Keanu Reeves as the titular John Wick. Jonathan, I love. I love the physicality of the character as much as I love the heart of the character. I've been seeing TikToks poking fun at his dialogue and I laugh a little bit, but come on. When it counts, this man is bringing it. From the stunt work he does to the subtleties he brings to the surface. Definitely an action speaks louder than words character. All right, guys, I watched it so you don't have to. I'm not even going to ask the question. You absolutely need to go watch this movie, especially if you're a fan of the franchise, if you're a fan of the genre. You need to see this movie. Because let's be real, how often do we get a franchise that is this strong? On top of that, an action franchise. This is a must-watch movie if you're interested in anything we've talked about in this video so far. I've said it in very few videos before on my channel, but you guys, it is always a treat when the entire cast delivers. Now, I know we didn't really talk about everyone. We briefly touched on Bill Skarsgård. We didn't talk about Rina Sawayama, Natalia Tena, or Scott Adkins. Honestly, you guys, if I talked about everyone that did an immaculate job in this movie, we will be here all day. Everyone did such a spectacular job. Every time they were on screen, they really delivered. They elevated the movie. And you guys, the actors, actresses that had accents really actually did a good job and they held up well. At this point in the video, I usually talk about negative reviews. I'm not even gonna bother. This movie is spectacular. Negative reviews, who is she? We don't know her, because if you don't have good taste, I can't help you. I'm kidding, you guys, because here's how I really feel about all that. So when it comes to TV shows, movies, video games, franchises, genres, fandoms, stuff that we like, stuff that we enjoy, I get it. It's not for everyone. Everyone has their own thing, and that is totally fine. Getting back to the video, for John Wick specifically, I get it. The action, the violence, the gun violence, it's not for everyone. And I totally get if you're worried about that. I'm gonna try not to fall into my usual pitfall thinking if you click the video, you're totally interested. If it's the opposite, and again, the action, the violence isn't for you, I will say that this movie has so much more of it than the 3 previous entries into the franchise. So if you don't like the action and everything that comes with it, absolutely skip this movie. But if you're looking for another amazing chapter and a damn good book, if you want to see how they topped previous John Wick movies, if you want to see some of the best action sequences in this franchise, and if you like that neo-noir look and feel, then you can't miss this movie. This is the longest film in the franchise, coming in at 2 hours and 49 minutes. And it's also got more action than the previous installments. The movie is bigger and, dare I say, better than anything we've seen so far, giving us even more new and engaging characters, as well as showing us stuff we've never seen before in this franchise. And of course, I do have to tell you guys that you cannot just jump into chapter 4. You will have to watch John Wick's chapters 1, 2, and 3. I recommend doing what I did and just rewatch all the movies before watching chapter 4. Please be aware that there is CGI, and it's obviously CGI, dog harm. I will leave a link down below to the website, Does the Dog Die? It'll go more in detail about the scenes. I was able to catch it fast enough, so I did cover my eyes. If that kind of stuff bothers you, check the link in the description below. Alrighty, John Wick fans, that brings us to the end of the video where I watched it so you don't have to. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you very much. If you're watching here on YouTube, leave the video a thumbs up if you liked the video so I know you liked the video. Comment down below, have you seen chapter 4 yet? If you saw the movie already, what did you think about it? I absolutely love the movie and I love this franchise to pieces. I love the world building, especially the action sequences, the fight choreography is so good. This one specifically, I mean, all of the movies look good, but this one was just so visually striking. The lighting is stunning. And the music, I love the music. The everything is so good. Also, you guys, the end of the movie, the credit scene, I don't want to give spoilers, but I have some thoughts, you guys. But speaking of all of that, chapter 5, when the credits were rolling during chapter 4, I was telling my honey that they had meant to film like the movies, well, like back to back or something. And then they said they weren't going to do a chapter 5. Then I read online somewhere that they are going to do chapter 5. It's up in the air. Like, I'm okay if they don't, but I want them to. You know what I mean? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. While you're down there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next movie that I'm going to be watching for you. I am going on vacation this weekend, so there's not going to be a video next week, but it's going to be a podcast exclusive episode on the movie Operation Fortune. The next video is going to be for another movie on my most anticipated movies of 2023 list, Super Mario Brothers. I'm really excited about this movie, and that video will be next week. The Friday after the movie comes out, that's when you're going to see my face again. And until the next video, spread positivity, be safe, take care of yourself, just have fun out there. I'll see you next time. Bye.